They tell me you're a man with true grit.
What do you want, girl? Speak up at supper time.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time to drop the hammer on the fastest dirt track podcast on the planet. And I'm your host, Shane Davis, and I got my sidekick, Pat. How you doing today, Pat?
I'm doing great, Shane. Looking forward to another great show.
Did you check out any racing over the weekend?
Ooh, I checked out a lot of racing. Got to go to actually my first live race in over a year. I got to go to Davenport Friday night, and then got my fill of online racing Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you there for the national anthem?
Yeah, I was. You know, I'm not sure exactly what happened. Most racetracks have this kind of canned, normal blasé national anthem, and all of a sudden there was a glitch, and this booming, mellow voice came out of nowhere. It was like it was sent down from heaven to sing the national anthem.
Very kind. Boy, I'm going to tell you what. I asked the fans, we'd like to ask that you all rise for the showing of the flag and the playing of the national anthem. And the pace truck pulls out on the Speedway. He's got the American flag on the back. And I hit the button, and the file was corrupt, and it wouldn't play. And so I shut my mic off. And I said a short microwave prayer, I'd like to call it. Help me, God. And then I turned it back on and let her roll.
Nice.
I didn't look at Quint. I didn't look at anybody in the staff. I didn't look at the stands. I stared at the dirt. I didn't want to see.
Well, you know what? I'm lobbying for your agent, so we're going to
Hey,
go out on
good.
the road with that show.
We can do that. Maybe we can
That's
get in the Cup Series, too.
There you go.
How do you like that? Hey, speaking of Davenport Speedway Friday night, great night of racing. Friday was the Kohler Electric season opener at Davenport Speedway with extra money on the line for two classes, and the competition was very intense. 1,000 to win IMCA late models, 1,000 to win modifieds. And great car count. Opening night, we had 104 cars. But the crazy number was the Sport Mod class, 34 Sport Mods on hand Friday night in Davenport, Iowa. So, hey, we'll kind of roll down through here. Now, we had been talking a little while ago, some of the IMCA late models run crate motors. We'll talk a little more about that later on. And some run the IMCA spec motor.
I think we have a special guest that we're going to bring in here in a little bit to help us talk about that as well.
That's right. I can't wait. So, in the IMCA late model class, Andy Naswerski, in his return with a brand new car, brand new XR1, picked off his heat race win. Ryan Clays picked off heat race number 2. But in the late model feature event, Andy Naswerski put it on him. Man, he had that number 7 humming and flying high, and that thing was digging good coming off the turns. And he had a crate motor.
Yes, he did.
Second place was Chuck Hanna in the number 65 ride, and he had a crate motor. Yeah. Justin Kai, 3-time IMCA national champion, rolled home in third place. He had the car rolling pretty good. Track started to slick off in the middle. You either had to run down on the bottom or right up on the cushion, and Justin was making a run for it. He could have used another restart. He didn't get it. Right behind him, former IMCA late model national champion Matt Ryan in the 07 car. New colors this year, black and red. He rolled home fourth. And in his return to late model racing, this guy works at John Deere. He was always fast back when he was driving. Fred Remley, driver of the number 42, second-generation racer. His dad, Keith Remley, raced for a lot of years. And, man, Fred was putting it on him. So to come home fifth, your first night back in a couple of years. Now, I got to tell you, he shares the racing shop with Andy Naswerski. So I'm sure there was some secrets being passed around in that shop to help get Fred off on his right foot. Joe Ross rolled home 6th. Todd Van Tassel was 7th. Ryan Clays 8th. Donnie Pataska from Green Island was 9th. And rounding out the top 10, B.J. Jackson, another second-generation racer. His dad, Duke Jackson, raced for a lot of years, and the good Lord's called him home, but he had a good showing. 10th place, cars in one piece. And, Pat, back in the day, if we loaded the car and we could drive it on the trailer, that was kind of a win.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, yeah. Especially with that many cars. I'll tell you what, track conditions were great. 2 distinct grooves, a guy up high, a guy down low, and they were absolutely phenomenal races.
Yeah. Hey, IMCA Modifieds, we'll roll on to them. The feature events, Superman Spencer Dirks, number 29, rolls her home first. That kid is on a roll. That's probably I'm going to say his 4th or 5th feature win of the season. And then Mitchell Morris from McCausland, Iowa. Brand new Harris car the first 2 nights out. Opening night, they broke a Jaime on a trailing arm. Brand new car. Everything's new. Second night out, had a nice starting position in the feature. Coming out of 4 for the green. Blew the power steering hose out of the pressed fitting. Brand new power steering hose. I mean, but now he was able to get a nice finish. Finished second in the IMCA modified feature. Kurt Kyle, regular up at West Liberty, Iowa, number 77, rolled home third. Travis Denning fourth. The real deal, Joe Beal, brand new race car this year. Now they had been running Shryock brand race car.
Okay.
Joe went on his own this year. And Quint Waterman's son builds a car. They call it an H2O. And there's been 3 of those that have been built. But it was a home-built car, and, man, that kid was getting it on. He rolls home 5th place in a home-built car.
Sure didn't run like it.
No, in a world where all we see is factory cars.
That's right.
Matt Warner came home 6th. Ryan Doom 7th. Chris Zog from New Liberty, Iowa, 8th. Austin Bloom 9th, and rounding out the top 10. One of the team body shop cars, Eric Barnes.
That's right. Did I see Chris Simpson was there too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, Chris,
to him, I think, in the main.
He won his heat race, and out in the feature, he had some problems and had to pull off, but then did go up to Independence, Iowa. We'll talk more about that in a little while. Saturday night and pick off the feature win.
Nice.
So he's got that thing humming. IMCA Sport Mod Top 10. That's over at Davenport Speedway. Tyler Soppy picked off the feature win. I believe this is number 4 for him. He's former national champion in the IMCA Sport Mod division. So early in the season, he's got a shot at picking up another Sport Mod national championship with IMCA.
It's a good way to start the season.
Yeah. Jacob Arp 2nd, Jarrett Franzen 3rd, Phil Anderson 4th, Cam Reimers, number 21, 5th, Ben Chapman 6th, Logan Velos 7th, Ryan Reed, the 69 ER 8th, Gage Neal 9th, and Jeremy Gustav rounds out the top 10. Now in the street stock division, Jesse Owen. What a way to start out season, opening night. He takes that number 95 ride, another second-generation race driver, down to victory lane. Tony Vondreski rolled home 2nd. Zachary Zuberbrier was 3rd. Nick Hickson, the Ghost, finished 4th. Jeff Struck Jr. was 5th. Justin Kai, driving an IMCA stock car, finished 6th. Donnie Lauk was 7th. Jake Lund 8th. Sean McDermott 9th. Nick Clausen rounded out the top 10. Then finally, the Sport Compacts. Kyle Hawkins, the number 28, picked off the feature win. Now, he did go down to Bristol and race with the 4-cylinder guys. And he told me that as fast as they were going down there, the track at Davenport with the bite up high and low Friday night, he felt like he was going faster than he was going at Bristol.
I believe it. I believe it. Davenport's so round, especially. I mean,
Yeah.
it makes for great racing.
Yeah, when you see them guys coming out of turn 4, and literally, thank God we got a half-mile track out there, because a lot of them guys will shoot out and run the half-mile coming down the straightaway. So here we go. Kyle Hawkins with the win. Nick Prohl, the number 101, finished 2nd. Todd Sibley 3rd. Dustin Began 4th. Tim Sibley, the son, finished 5th. Brandon Schneider 6th. Norm Markov 7th. Dustin Frymore 8th. Josh Riley 9th. And Jack Fitzgibbon. That rounded out the top 10 at Davenport Speedway Friday night. What a night to kick-off racing. I mean, the track was in great shape, as Ricky and Brenda Kai have just given us a wonderful track for the years they've been promoting over there. It was cold. It's warm today, and I hope the warm weather sticks around so we can kind of enjoy it Friday night, and I don't have to wear 4 layers of clothes.
Yeah. Well, and, it's been years that you have always heard or always thought of, regional or local stock car track just being dry and slick and dusty. And the track was heavy early on for heat races. I know I talked to a couple of guys that we are actually down pit side and talked to a couple of guys that were surprised as heavy as the track was. But obviously they knew what they were doing, because it absolutely pushed out as far as you could possibly get up high and then down low. And if I remember right, I think Spencer Dirks won the modified main run in the very high side. And then the 7 car won the late model main run and right around the tires. So
Yeah,
that's a
crazy.
testament to not only the quality of competition, but also the track preparation that they're able to make 2 distinct grooves like that.
You know, I always said when I was racing, just give me 2 lanes. That's
Oh,
all I
yeah.
want.
Makes great racing.
And you know what I like? When you got a high groove and a low groove, and you got a little black slick right in the middle, makes it easy to do some sliders.
That's right.
So we seen
Right.
the White Castle sliders going on Friday night. Hey, now we're going to move down to Burlington, Iowa, 34 Raceway Park, the 305 Winged Sprints. A feature picking up the win was Cody Weirley, the number 27 car. Second was the number 78 of Dugan T. Third was Nick Guernsey, the number 7B. Fourth, the 29K Dan Keltner. Fifth was Wyatt Wilkinson in the number 29W. Sixth, the number 56 Matt Krieger. Seventh, the 51J Colton Fisher. Eighth was the number 16 of Devin Rouse. Ninth, the number 41 of Noah Samuel. And rounding out the top 10, the number 9 Daniel Bergquist. So good night of racing there at 34, and you ran plenty of laps down there.
Yes,
Pat.
I have. I love that track, actually. They put on a whale of a show for 305s down there. For Quad Cityans, it's only an hour drive if you go right down through Monmouth and over. And for Saturday night racing, you know, for nice family entertainment, it's a great bang for your buck.
You know, and on the way down there on 61, they always had some farmers stands set up.
Yeah.
So you want to stop right outside Muscatine and get some sweet corn and some watermelons and
That's right.
all the good fruits that they have on the fruit stand. Modifieds, top 10 A feature. 71W Jeff Waterman picked off the win. Second was the number 32 XP Kyle Madden. Third, another nice run, the number 70 Mitchell Morris from McCausland, Iowa, making his trip down to 34 Raceway Park and having 2 nice runs 2 days in a row. Fourth, the 03B Mark Bergdorf, old IMCA late model driver. Fifth was the 33F Jardin Fuller, and sixth was the number 3S Adam Shellman. Seventh, the number 5R Bill Roberts. Eighth, the number 43 Creston Williams. Ninth, the 409 Chad Gilbertson, and 10th, the number IB33 Shane Richardson, rounding out the top 10 in the modifieds. Stock cars, we'll go quick. The number 05 John Oliver picking out the win. Second was the number 122 Bo Taylor. Third, the number 77X Brandon Setzer. Fourth was the number 12 Chad Krogmeyer. Fifth, the number 07 Ray Raker. Sixth, the number 3B Mark Bowman. And seventh, the number 08 Harold Bauman. That's what they show here. So evidently that was the total amount of cars down there. And then they run a class. They're not sanctioned. It's IMCA late models, but they call them dirt late models. And in their A main, it was the number 07 Matt Ryan, Davenport, Iowa. Former IMCA late model national champion, picking off the win down at 34 Raceway Park Saturday night. The number 15R Mark Bergdorf finishing second. The number 3, third place, 45 DW Dennis Woodworth. Fourth was Jay Johnson, the number 93. Fifth was the 7B Matt Strassheim. And sixth, the number 33 Nick Moroff. So that wraps it up for the 34 Raceway Park. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the Independence Motor Speedway results, but a little while ago, you know, we talked about, you know, the IMCA modifieds up at Indy, and you had brought up, here we go, Chris Simpson.
Yes, sir.
He tuned that thing up, took it to Independence, Iowa, and we used to always run there on fair night, and it was just great. You had a packed grandstands, you had the fair rides outside, you had the smell of, you know, I like food, corn dogs, hot dogs wafting through the air.
Oh, yeah.
And we just loved Indy. So here we go. The number 32, Chris Simpson, picking off the win. First feature win of the season in that 32 modified. But here's a guy who has run Lucas Oil MLRA and won, and he's in a modified. And, man, he was bullet quick up there.
You know, I thought that same thing Friday night. You know, Griff and I were walking by, and I actually said to my son Griffin, I said, I think that's Chris Simpson running a modified. So I started looking for his late model. I thought, you know, why is he not running the late model? And I tell you what, his modified is absolutely first class. First class. So I'm not surprised that he picked off the win.
Now, starting deep in the field, I believe he started back about 17th, the number 29. Spencer Dirks, that kid, he's young. He's got a great race car, a great team, and he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
And a great family,
for a lot
too.
of years. Drove that thing from 17th all the way up to second. The last restart, They lined him up. He was running in fifth place, and boy, he made quick work of getting up into second. But Simpson had about a half a straightaway on him. He closed the gap a little bit, but they ran out of laps. Third, the number 71C, Troy Cortez. Fourth, the number 3, Kelly Shryock. Fifth, the number 21, Brennan Chip. Sixth, the number 27, Mark Schutte. And seventh, the number 21T, Ryan Doom. Eighth, the number 32X, Chris Snyder. Ninth, the 10K, Ron Lauritsen. So that wrapped out. Not going to go through all the results from up there, but I just want to let you know that some of our local guys who run right at Davenport Speedway had nice runs. Then up in Dubuque, I want to point a couple of things out from their results. We will look at the late models. Let's get to that. There we go. Here we go. 25-lap feature, the number P7. Eric Pollard picked off the win. The number 15K, our own Justin Kai, the Flying Farmer, rolls home second at Dubuque Fairgrounds Speedway. Third was Logan Duffy, the number 14. Fourth, the number 16, Brian Moreland. Fifth, the number 23U, Jason Udelhofen. Sixth, the number 60, Dalton Simonson. Seventh, the number 9, Bobby Hansen. Eighth, the number 40, Joel Callahan. And ninth, the number 13, JR Colton Leal. And rounding out the top 10, the number 17, Ryan Hill. So that was your top 10 in the Klein Custom Homes IMCA Late Model Feature event at Dubuque Fairgrounds Speedway. And in the Sport Mod division, we'll talk about them. Picking off the win was the number 9K, Troy Bauer. But the number 3T, Tyler Soppy, our feature winner Friday at Davenport, came home second. So good run for him. Third was the number 12N, Gage Neal. Fourth, the number 71B, Scott Bush. Fifth was the number 14, Kyle Hoffman. Sixth was Ryan Schilling, the number 21. Seventh, the number 32, TJ Fortman. Eighth, the number 45, Colin King. Ninth, Bob Salagi. And 10th, Matt Fulton in the number 2. So then, wrapping up our local racing results here, we're going to look at East Moline Speedway last night. It was their opening night. We got some rain earlier on in the day.
Yes, we did.
I thought they were going to pull the plug. Nope. They packed that thing down, and they went racing.
Very nice.
IMCA late models. Now, here's what we love. Celebrating his 50th anniversary this year of racing is Gary Webb.
Wow.
72 years old. And if you go to www.garywebbracing.com, you can check out a nice video that honors his 50 years of racing. And also on that site, you can buy T-shirts that honor the 50th anniversary. But let me run down these results, top 10. So picking up the win was Matt Ryan, the number 07, 2 feature wins this weekend for Matt. Second place, the ageless wonder, the W56, Gary Webb from Bluegrass, Iowa.
Very impressive.
I mean, how do you like that? First night out. Third place, Chuck Hanna, the number 65. Fourth place, another good run, the number 10, Jacob Waterman. Fifth place, the number 14, B.J. Jackson from Clinton, Iowa. Sixth place, the number 7, Andy Naswerski from Buffalo, Iowa. Seventh would be the number 99, Brian Harris. New ride for him this year. Eighth was the number 70, Sean Mulvaney. Glad to see him back racing. Ninth, the number R19, Joe Ross. And rounding out the top 10, the 007, Lake Canute from Chadwick, Illinois. Now we're going to look at our IMCA Modifieds top 10. Jeff Bone Larson, the number B1, picks off the win last night. He's from Freeport, Illinois, former IMCA Modified National Champion. Eric Barnes, the number 1, Team Body Shop car, rolled home second. Eric from Kelowna, Illinois. Brandon Durbin, the number 15D from Kelowna, rolled home third. Brant Cole, the number C9 from Rock Falls, Illinois, was fourth. Fifth was the 57A of Andrew Hamburg. Sixth, the number 56D, Travis Denning from Sterling, Illinois. Seventh, the number 19B, Austin Bloom from Mount Morris. Eighth was Casey Franks, the number 81C. Ninth was the 85, Andy Naswerski. And 10th, the number 89, TJ Pates.
Some all-around good racing there.
A lot of good racing.
A lot of good racing. The in the differences between running the kind of a round track like Davenport, I've only run Dubuque once. It's kind of a football shaped, kind of a big quarter, and then East Moline. That's one of the beauties to this area is we have such kind of a nice mixture of track sizes and shapes. It makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, great. We're going to go to the IMCA Sport Mods next. Top 10 at East Moline Speedway. Number 21, Cam Reimers from Kelly, Iowa, picking off the win. And, kind of a funny faux pas Friday night over at Davenport Speedway. The first time I called him in the lineup, I called him Cam. What do you think?
Cam Newton.
There you go.
Got to be Cam Newton.
I got to quit watching football.
That should be his Cam Newton.
There you go.
Yeah.
Second, the number B33, Cody Kalem. Third, the number 43, LV, Logan Velos, coming home with a nice run. He's from Kelowna. Fourth, the number 79, Nathan Bauensiefen. He comes to us from Sheffield, Illinois. Up next, fifth, the number 88, Trey Grimm, one of the team body shop cars, East Moline, Illinois. And then we had the number 88D, C.J. Durbin from Coal Valley, Illinois. Nice run for him. Jacob Copley, the number 55C from East Moline, finishing 7th. 8th, Steven Spiker. 9th, Matt Spidell, the number 14J, rounding out the top 10. The number 33, the Candyman, Jarrett Franzen. Tough night for him. Rudy's Tacos, IMCA Hobby Stocks. We're going to go down the top 5 in these guys. The number 09, Daniel Waters, picking up the win. He's from up Tipton, Iowa way. Second place was the number 4R, the Buffalo Bandit, Randy Lamar. Third was the number 77W, Andrew Burke from Milan, Illinois. Fourth, Donnie Cole, the number B4 from Rock Falls, Illinois. And the number 12, Jared Kopajans from Hillsdale, Illinois. We're rounding out the top 5. Then we'll get to the IMCA Performance Mod Lights. Picking up the win, former late model driver. He ran in IMCA Modified. Now he's in one of those Mod Light cars. Mike Zemo Jr. in the Z Machine. Davenport, Iowa, picks off the win. Now, have you seen those Mod Lights, Pat?
I have.
Yeah.
I have. I tell you what, they get around there quick.
Now, I know they got motorcycle motors in them. I'm going to have to ask one of the guys. They're like, 1100cc Yamaha or what their rules allow.
And honestly, I've only talked to a couple of guys down at Burlington a couple of years ago, and they're based on kind of an idea of like the dwarf car or the legend car. However, they're kind of more outlaw, so they have tube chassis and less restrictions on the motors. The cars are a little bit lighter and quite a bit faster. So
Okay.
They look like a ball of fun to run.
Man, they do. Second, the number 11P, John Padilla. Third, the number 25M, Anthony Gus. Fourth, the number 91, Rob Gus. Fifth was Nick Prohl in the number 29. And finally, we got Street Stocks. The number 91, beautiful red machine, Michael Clark picking off the win. He comes to us from Maryville, Indiana, making the trip up to East Moline Speedway.
Making the haul.
Yeah. Second was the number 4Z, Zachary Zuberbreyer from Kingston, Illinois. Third was Kyle Anderson from Crown Point, Indiana. Fourth was Jesse Owen, the number 95, picked off the win Friday night at Davenport Speedway. And fifth, rounding out the top 5, Kyler Hickenbottom from Cambridge, Illinois. And then we'll wrap this thing up with Sport Compacts cars. We'll do the top 5. First, Kyle Hawkins, the number 28, another win for him. Second, the 22DB, Dustin Began. Third, the number 24X, Tommy Staggs. Fourth, the number 28X, Jimmy Duttlinger. And rounding out the top 5, the number 30J, Nick Johnson. And that is it for local racing results for this past weekend, Pat.
You know what, though? Look at all the results. Isn't it nice that we're getting back to some semblance of normal? Look at all those race results. It's nice to come out of COVID. This time last year, we didn't know what we were going to do for a race season, if there was going to be a race season at all. And then it was off and on, hit or miss, depending upon what the states required and allowed and what people could put together. So it's really nice to get back to some semblance of normal. And not only to see the promoters putting on the races, but to see absolute ton of race cars showing up. That's great. Warms my heart.
Well, hey, you got some national news for us, Pat?
Yeah, let's talk about national racing. I'm going to start with late model racing.
Okay.
Unfortunately, rain caught the Central Illinois Lucas Oil late models and canceled both the Saturday night show at Granite City. I'm sorry, I think it was Friday night show at Granite City and Saturday night show at Macon. Both of those got nixed because of weather. But the upside to that is, with that happening, we had guys that went a little bit everywhere. Tim McCready, who's the point leader for Lucas Oil, ended up going to run the World of Outlaws. And I have a short clip. He and Chris Madden battled it out for the win in Richmond, Kentucky. Chris Madden brought it home second. Tim McCready brought it home first with the $10,000 win. Had a great show.
Wow.
Chris Madden came home second from the pole. It's nice to see T-Mac run well. I know he's got a lot of diversity and has run a lot of different types of cars in all different categories. So it was nice to see him bring that home. Chris Madden was second, Scott James third, Ricky Weiss brought it home fourth, and our local hot shoe Tyler Bruning brought it home fifth.
Yeah,
great to see him with a great run, without a
went
doubt.
from the IMCA traveling series.
That's right.
Which has now become the Hoker Trucking East series. To running with the best of the best,
and being competitive,
being competitive,
yeah. And I know B. Brandon Shepard also brought it home ninth. He's still leading the points.
Yeah, so all right.
Not having a B. Shep-esque season, if you will, but
right.
But still competitive everywhere it goes. I'm pretty sure, knowing those guys, that they're disappointed with ninth, whereas most people would be thrilled with ninth. But when night in, night out, when you're dealing with, I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Night in and night out racing, it's at competition level. You can't miss it by very much and end up going from first to ninth. So, like I said, with that, some of the guys went to Kentucky. Some of the guys went out to West Virginia Motor Speedway for the Bring It Back, the Welcome Back at West Virginia Motor Speedway. A phenomenal race. I'll bring up the video if we can bring up the video. 40-lap race. Tyler Erb led 39 laps coming into this. Actually, Jonathan Davenport pitted with 6 laps to go to change a right rear, was able to storm back through it. When I was watching the race, I'm like, oh, there's no way he's going to win.
Yeah.
He pitted with 6 laps to go. He's out because he was absolutely on a mission. The West Virginia Motor Speedway, great, big, huge, 5/8 of a mile, kind of a square track. I have a little bit of video. Tyler Erb led the come to take the white flag. As they're coming around turn 1 and 2,
He's
and I
got
thought,
the bag.
yes, he does. Yes, he does. Things are looking well, and all of a sudden, rear wheel broke. So I don't know if the axle broke, but it looked like a rear wheel broke, similar to what happened to Jimmy Owens at Bristol.
Right.
At least from the outside. Jonathan Davenport ended up holding on for the last lap. They had a green-white checkered. He ended up holding on for the last lap and bringing home the $8,000 to win. So JD was first. Devin Moran chased him right across the line for second, and Kyle Bronson brought it home third. Another great show. Like I said, it was kind of exciting. When I was watching that race, I thought, wow, it looks like Tyler Erb's got it in the bag. Switching over to sprint cars, if we can. This last weekend was the NOS Energy World of Outlaw Bristol Throwdown.
Wow.
At the last great Coliseum, Bristol, Tennessee. Absolutely phenomenal show. I know a lot of people had this, including myself, had this circled on the calendar of races that were definitely one that we, marked on the calendar. If you can't be there, I definitely want to watch it online, which I actually got to watch it online.
Right.
They raced Friday night. David Gravel had a great night. Friday night, actually, the track was a little bit slick. The racing actually was really good, but not groundbreaking speeds. David Gravel set fast time, won his heat, and won the main event. It was a really good show. A lot of really close, really competitive racing. Saturday night actually got rained out, but they pushed it to Sunday afternoon. And I'm going to show you a clip of, with rain, as you would expect for a day and a half, or almost a day and a half.
Look at that.
Yes, look at that. We actually had
13,326.
Sam Haperty from Texas, 13,352 or 326. Yeah, 13,326, 142.2 mile an hour average. That's an average around Bristol.
Average, Pat.
Absolutely unbelievable.
You know what? When I was young, I was crazy and I'd drive that fast, but now that I'm old, I try to keep it below 55 when I'm out on the interstate.
I hear you. And, this race was actually an invitation-only race.
Yeah.
And even there were actually 2 guys that were there. One of them was Jacob Allen that practiced. They went to qualify and actually said, you know what, this is just – the speeds are too fast.
Yeah.
And so Jacob Allen actually decided to sit out that race. His car was there. They unloaded every day. There was a lot of social media banter back and forth of what happened. Was he sick? And from the news report from Shark Racing is no, he was fine. It was just he was intimidated by a 142 mile an hour average around the Speed Palace like that. And then so the feature. So you would think that you run 142 mile an hour around this giant track. His actually teammate, Logan Schuthart, also from Pennsylvania, led the good part of the race, was chased down by David Gravel. So you would think that the racing isn't all that great. Logan in the Dryden number 1 is being chased by the black and orange David Gravel. In the big game tree stands number 2, they actually just took the white flag. Logan broke a motor.
Oh my God!
Yes, he broke a motor.
Kidding me.
Yep, coming up right here. You see it right there. The motor loses power, and unfortunately, it cost him the victory. Actually, I take that back. It was coming around the next lap, but he lost power and ended up having to drop out after that. So that had to be heartbreaking for him. David Gravel ended up bringing home the $25,000 win. Donnie Schatz running the Ford came in second. And Tony Stewart's right.
No kidding.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. They're still working on that Ford, trying to get that Ford to accelerate like they need it to be.
Now, Pat, I seen a picture of Jack Howdenchild.
That's right.
To the throwback paint scheme, and I got to tell you, that is just.
Isn't that awesome?
It was awesome. And now, was that a Rico Abreu? He was connected to that somehow?
That's actually Rico Abreu's car.
Oh, wow.
Yep, and Rico is a huge fan, and he's a racer, but he's also a huge fan.
Yeah.
And he partnered with Jack Haudenschild for his swan song in racing. Jack's retiring at the end of this year. And so Jack's actually going to run Rico's car throughout this year.
All right.
They came out with a special paint scheme, kind of a send-off that he introduced on Friday. And then he ran this weekend. He's going to finish the season. It's the Jack Eldon Racing Pennzoil 22 car from days gone by that Jack ran for so long.
To me, it was a beautiful car.
Oh, without a doubt.
My God.
Even the competitors. So one of the beautiful things that Dirt Racing did, too, was for the unveiled, nobody knew about it other than the team. They actually had the car in the trailer. They brought all of the competitors and Dirt Racing around. Dirt Racing went live. And actually, the competitors crowded around the trailer as they dropped the gate of the trailer. They had the car covered and really did a first-class ta-da unveil of the car. It was perfect.
Great.
It was perfect. And I've known Jack Haudenschild since we got into sprint car racing, and you won't find a nicer guy. Absolutely a truly genuine, really nice guy. So It's great to see him get sent off with a first-class ride like this.
Good news.
He had a great show. It didn't take much to be off the mark a little bit running on this track. Aaron Reitzel brought it home third. Giovanni Celsi, the drag racer's son, ended up bringing it home fourth. And Paul McMahon had just jumped into a car 2 weeks ago after being off for almost a full season, came home fifth. So It was a great show.
That's amazing.
A testament to also to the flexibility of the World of Outlaw sprint cars is we just ran the Speed Palace, right? We just ran the last great Coliseum, Bristol on dirt, high-banked half mile. Next weekend, the World of Outlaw sprint cars are running I-70 Speedway down in Odessa, Missouri. And I don't know if you guys have ever been down there.
They've rebuilt it.
They rebuilt it, but it's still a high-banked half-mile dirt track, also a big Speed Palace. However, that's Friday and Saturday this coming weekend. They're making a special stop on Thursday night in Jacksonville, Illinois, which is the polar opposite of that. You couldn't hardly get a smaller track than Jacksonville, Illinois. It's just barely bigger than this room.
You know, we're you're telling the truth. We're running down at Peoria Speedway, and the guys kept saying, "Hey, Shane, you got to come down and run Jacksonville, show them how it's done." So old Dino Dan Norton and I, we load the car up and head down to Jacksonville, and I thought, my God, I mean, you could just about put Jacksonville in the infield of East Moline Speedway.
That's right. It is that small.
Oh, it was just crazy.
It is that small. So to see wing sprint cars run on that is amazing. I've heard it called. It's like putting a bunch of bees in a jar and shake them up.
Yeah.
So, hey, one of the things I did want to point out too. Thoughts and prayers are with Dave Darlin. The USAC, they call him the People's Champ, a USAC competitor for a long time, was on his way to the races on Saturday night down in Bloomington, Indiana, and he actually had a minor stroke, got confused and didn't know where he was going. He ended up spending the night in the hospital. So I've only met him once, but he was a genuinely nice guy. So thoughts and prayers go out to his continued recovery. He's doing well, but his continued recovery. Good. So that's all I have with national stuff. Let's introduce our guests. What do you say?
We got some guests. Hey, first up, we got Quint Waterman. Now, we originally had Randy Anderson scheduled. He's the lead tech guy for IMCA Late Model. He works the IMCA Super Nationals every year. He used to work the old Dairy Series, every one of those races. And Randy's a little under the weather right now. So we pulled in my old buddy, Quint Waterman. Quint, How you doing today?
How you doing?
Welcome to the
Glad
show.
to be
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. What do you think of the studio?
It's neat.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Not
I like
dusty
it.
like the racetrack. It's
No.
nice and clean.
Yeah, nice televisions.
Yeah. Bigger than the one I got at home. Hey, Veronica. Veronica Anderson, our other guest, race driver. She also does tech. And Veronica is Randy Anderson's daughter. So, you know, you always want to have a son that's into racing. And for Randy, he got the daughter that's into racing. And Veronica, tell us what you do for a living.
I'm a Mercedes-Benz technician, so I'm a diagnostic specialist for Mercedes-Benz, and I work on a little bit of everything for them, though. So
Very nice.
And that's amazing. So when customers walk out back and they see you working on their ride, I mean, they probably got to do a double take because, you know, you've chosen this interesting path. And when it comes to racing, too, how have you been received by the male drivers at the Speedway?
I think at the Speedway, most prominently, it's been a positive result. Sometimes you'll get a little bit where you can tell they just aren't quite used to it. They're
Yeah.
not quite, just intertwined with how it is to race with a girl or female and how that works. But a lot of them are open, friendly. I've made a lot of friends through racing, and I think maybe it's helped being in it for so long. But
Outstanding.
You know, and Quint, we can talk about this. I mean, you remember the day, this is how backwards things were. You know, and thank God we've come a long way in this world. But there was a day when they wouldn't let a woman down in the pit area.
No, I remember there was never a woman in the pits.
Your wife was up in the stands
Yeah.
watching. Yeah.
Every race. Never
And-
been in the pits with me.
And what else did you have to wear to come in the pits?
You had to wear white pants.
White. You're going to be working on cars in dirt, but you had to
That's
wear
right.
white pants.
That's right. I remember somebody saying it was so that they could see you.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
thought, you know what? If you can't see me, what are my white pants going to help? You know?
I still see old pictures of them. I think they look cool. I wish they still did it.
Yeah, you see people a lot better.
Well, the funny thing is now almost everybody wears black in the pit, so we've gone the other way around.
Yeah, how do you like that? So, Quint, question for you. Now, hey, it's a brand new season. IMCA Tech. A lot of these guys are in brand new cars, and they've really never been teched by you all. And Veronica, you were teching over the weekend too?
Friday
Friday night at
yeah.
Davenport. Okay. So, how do you handle it? Guy comes in, he's got too high a deck height, his roof's at too much pitch in it. I mean, do you just look the other way, or do you give him a warning?
No, Friday night at Davenport, we had, I think it was 17 violations
Wow.
between three divisions: sport mod, modified, and late model.
Okay.
With bodies, either roofs, deck heights, and our cell panels, and they all got verbal warnings.
Okay.
And most of them guys will address them problems, but some will think they'll get away with it again. Next week they'll get a written citation. The following week they'll be disqualified.
So, I mean, you expect them to come back and make those repairs.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
And most
really-
of them will.
don't like the deck
hey,
height.
none of these guys cheat. Ask them.
Hey, cheat, you're racing. didn't you?
Never. You hate.
The only cheater is the ones that finish in front of them.
That's right. That's right. It doesn't say so in the rules.
Yeah. You know, that, I remember a guy I used to race with back in the day, he had on the back of his spoiler, cheat to beat.
That's right.
And I thought, oh my God, here we go.
Yep. I actually had a wing one time that Knoxville. I said, well, it's not what it says in the rules. And they said, Patrick, don't bring it back next week.
You know, IMCA used to talk about rule number 99, and that was our decision, the decision of the IMCA and the officials is final and binding. So it don't matter what the driver's interpretation of the rule is. I
Right.
mean, man, you guys will drop the hammer.
And it doesn't matter what the promoter thinks either.
Yeah.
So
And no, Quint, you and I were talking about this before we went on air. It's obviously IMCA is onto something and they're doing something right. The fact that you can have two complete different set of rules, you can have just in the late models alone, you can have a crate motor, which you have very little control over what the motors produce, and then you have the IMCA spec motor, and that you have those two motors that are virtually identical, and you can't tell from one car to the next of which one's fast, and they're equally competitive. That's really a testament to what you
Right.
guys are doing.
Well,
all the way down to the track guys.
IMCA does a good job of trying to keep a level playing field. Like last year, the spec motors, they performed better, and they were more successful. So this year, IMCA changed the carburetor and allows alcohol on a crate motor. And Friday night, a crate motor won at Davenport. And then Sunday night, I teched there too at East Moline. a spec motor one. So we're 50-50 right out the gate.
Nice.
Last year, spec, then maybe a crate. But this year, I think we're going to see a little more of a level playing field.
Nice.
And it was good racing at both tracks.
Without a doubt. So how did they do that? Was it a restrictor plate that they put in the carburetors, or how did they slow the spec motors down?
I can't tell you for sure if they changed the restrictor plate. They already had one.
Nice.
But I know they changed the carburetor and allowed the alcohol this year.
Very nice.
So
I know when we went to alcohol, we had to run a lot more fuel pressure, but the alcohol we would burn, and this is an old memory, so don't send me a text tell me I'm wrong because I probably am. But we would burn like double the amount of alcohol versus the regular gas, but the alcohol gave us more torque. So that's hey, Veronica. So what I wanted to ask you is, Sunday night was your first night of racing.
Yes, it was.
And you were there without your dad. How was that? Kind of weird?
That was probably very weird for me. Dad always has some good words of wisdom. He's always the last person I talk to, and that's kind of key, is he knows something to tell me where I won't let it get to me. And not having him there for the first time, it was different. It was not the same. It's always been something that even if Dad's doing tech, he's there. He's, beginning of last season, we had a hole in the radiator, and he's doing tech, and he comes over and he goes, I got the solution. I'm freaking out. It's my first even partial season in a car, and he goes, we're going to just JB weld this. So I'm just thinking, what if I need JB weld? My dad's not here.
There you go.
So it was different for sure.
We got a couple of comments online. We got Dave Walton commenting that he loves white pants, and he wears white pants when he flags Davenport Speedway,
That's
our new
awesome.
flagman this year. Bev Schmal-Thorman says, hey, white pants look cool. And we had some other questions in there. Let me see if I can find them. Oh, Brett Severson, scorer up there at East Moline and Davenport, said, need to say thank you to Quint Waterman. Pretty sure he might have grabbed me last night as I was passing out after the races.
Very nice.
How do you like that?
Yeah, I didn't grab him, but yeah, he wasn't feeling very well. But
Oh, my.
there was several people there that were concerned about him, and I'm
Yeah.
glad he's doing better.
Yeah, good. Thank God. We got to have Brett around. He's a man.
So Veronica, talk to me about what are your aspirations in racing? Where do you see this going from a female driver's perspective?
I think ultimately I want to do as best as I can. I always set high goals, and back in 2012, 2011, when Dad and I really got back into racing and he started being tech at East Moline, I'd watch people run, and that's when the dream started going. And then I went to Super Nationals, and that even spread more. So honestly, right now, I want to just learn the car. I think yesterday was a big testament to, if you don't focus on what you're doing, none of it makes any sense. We've been practicing for weeks, and what I put on the track for a feature last night was not what we'd been practicing, and it all went out the window.
Hey, it happens that way sometimes.
That's right.
Right.
That's called lap one.
And now John Freeman was helping me in the pits.
Yep, and John helps me, and John's always one of those guys that'll tell me, just keep going, we got this. And
Yeah.
And that's where the goals come from. I mean, one day I hope to win some super national titles, and I hope to win even our regular championships at the Speedways. I think as a female driver, opportunities are limitless. I just got to drive as good as they do or better, and that's not hard to do.
You know what, Veronica, I've watched you, and you're putting together a lot of good laps. And then, you got that little slip, driving in a little hot, tail comes around. And so once you get it and you put together 20 good laps or 10 good laps in your heat or whatever it may be, and when you pick off your first win, it's a shot in the arm. You get your first heat race win, you're like, man, I can do it. I can win these things. And, with what I've seen out of you, you're going to be there. You just got to have patience. Everybody's got to pay their dues. You're paying your dues right now, and you're going to be fine.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things John kind of reminds me of, is just reeling it all back in. He says, watch your emotions, have some patience, just take your turns. It's your race, it's not anybody else's. If you're already going to finish in last, why not just keep going with it?
Wow.
Focus on what you're doing.
There's your double O.
Yep.
Hey, the history of that thing. Marshall Douglas used to sponsor,
nice?
A race car. You drove for Marshall. Sam and I had been in the car. John Freeman had been in the car. And John always ran, or Marshall wanted number I-74, so he wanted the I-74 logo, and the car was number 74. But your dad brought that theme back and that history by putting the double O in the interstate sign.
So actually, it was kind of backwards and how that happened. He called me because he always told me the number comes last. And in 2019, he called me when I came back, and I was still living in Chicago. And he goes, "What did you want your number to be?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "I know what I do want, though. I want the interstate symbol." I said, "That is your car. That is the car that every great person has ever raced for you, is in that interstate." And he goes, "Well, what do you think of this R00? Because they call me Ronnie Roo." So he's like, "You're my little Roo." So we put together what I thought was fantastic as the interstate symbol, and really he came up with the R00. So.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, and Shane, you and I have talked about it. I love the stories, the historical background history to how people come up with the numbers, because it's never just I don't know, throw a number 2 on it. I don't know. There's always some sort of a story. I saw an article of Formula One that Hamilton actually had 44 as his go-kart number when he very first started racing. And he still runs it now today. Yeah. So, thanks for sharing that. That's awesome.
Well,
now, hey, Quint, as far as tech goes, being a tech guy, you got to put the blinders on. I mean, you've got your own son out there running an IMCA late model, Joe Beal. I mean, how do you deal with that when you got one of your family members? Do you have a special tape measure for your son? No. And then one for everybody else?
No, it's the same rules for everybody, but, he's just like anybody else. If we find something wrong, he'll be held accountable. And Randy's the chief tech, so when I spot something, he's the first one I tell it to, and he makes the ultimate decision. But there'll be no favoritism. Heck, half them guys out there are my friends, your friends. I mean, it's can be tough. It's going to be tough if you have to hammer one of them.
I remember we were doing a tech, and it was Kenny Wallace, number 36 modified. And he was paid to show up the racetrack, and the guy ended up winning the feature. And he rolls through tech, and he had turned his rotors down too thin. And so Tom Herbert's down there doing the tech, and Herb says, "Hey, number 36 is DQ'd because he got too thin of rotors." And I remember Kenny Wallace saying, "Hey, do you know who I am?" And Tom Herbert refused to acknowledge the name. He just said, "It's just number 36 to me, and your rotors are too thin, and you're disqualified." So that's, you got to make tough calls when you're doing tech.
Yeah.
Well, but I think establishing that base is instrumental in getting that respect from someone that wants to come in and race from the outside. So they're not one of the in club, or they're not, if they're going to come either race from somewhere else or they're going to get into racing. It's hard when you're coming in because you don't know, is everybody playing? I know this is a rule book, but is everybody playing by the rules, or, do some people get to do whatever they want? And it's nice to hear. And I think that's an attribute also to the growth in the local racing in the area that, hey, these are the rules and these are the rules, and it doesn't matter who you are, everybody adheres to the rules.
Well, and like our boss on Friday night, Ricky Kai, his son races, and his son, he's the man to beat most nights. And when Ricky first was taking that track over and Shane was at the same staff meeting, he said, "I do not want any favoritism for my son." And I said, "Well, if we had to show him favoritism, I wouldn't be working for you."
Good.
So,
good.
Yeah, there's no favoritism for anybody. My son, Rick Kai's son, nobody. Yep. So.
Yep. John will always try to come up with new ideas for the race car, and Dad's like, "If it don't fly through tech, we're not doing it." So
yeah, I like that.
Definitely
but it doesn't
keeps
say
it fair.
So in the rules.
Yeah,
he says we won't be taking the car.
If you're on the Done Right page, we've got a lot of people on there that are posting messages. I want to let you know that if you got any questions you want to ask Veronica, or you want to ask Quint, or Pat, or myself, feel free to post them on there. We're live, we're reading them, and we'll be happy to answer any of those questions that are out there. Now, Chad Coyne wanted to know, Quint, what's up with the gray hair?
On who? You?
You.
I didn't think I had any yet.
Okay, you must have seen some. I like that.
That means you don't have any worries, right?
Hey, I just hope mine quits falling out, man. Every time you take a shower, you got a clump of hair in the shower, and then I don't have anything on top. Right. So I'm going to start wearing a ball cap, and that'll cover it up.
Yeah, and I know Dave Walden says that, yep, it's nice to see the black and white in the rules, and I couldn't agree more.
And Chad Coyne's going to be coming out with a sport mod.
Oh, he is?
Yep.
All right.
He's got a sniper, and we should see him at the track hopefully soon.
And Terrence Ryan answered that question. its own 95 restrictors you got to have on that for a restrictor.
Right.
plate.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. A lot of people out there watching, a lot of questions flowing in, but keep it rolling, Pat.
Yeah. It's, you know what, in Veronica, I can't thank you enough for coming in and joining us. It's a unique, and you have a unique perspective on racing coming in, and hopefully you'll see opportunities that some other people won't, and take advantage of it, and have that respect. Hopefully people give you the respect that you deserve.
The funny thing is, Randy's been around racing a lot of years, and I remember Randy raced a car 3 times. I think it was 3 times, and then he said, "Man, this ain't for me." And so we're at Hawkeye Raceway, Quint. You remember this night? Yeah. And Randy come walking up to me, and he says, "Hey, I got a fast car," but he said, "My driving days are over." He said, "Do you know anybody who can drive this thing?" And I said, "Yeah, my old buddy Quint Waterman." So we got Quint behind the wheel, went out and won the heat race.
Yeah.
But Quint, when you pulled in victory lane, tell us the story.
The radiator had overheated. The steam was coming out. But the story he's telling is the truth. But the thing is, that's when I met Randy. I didn't even know him. Shane said, "Put Quint in the car." So I go out and win a heat, and it's the first time I'd ever won any type of a race in my life, and it was the first time Randy ever got a heat win.
Nice.
So
nice.
the thing's steaming away, the
Magic
wrecker backs up.
Yeah, the wrecker was going to push me away. I said, "No, take this to victory lane. I want to get my picture taken."
You want a picture.
Yeah.
You got to have proof.
Yeah, I had
That's right.
Shane, his brother down there, Dave Keniston, Randy, all of us, Mike Moneymaker.
Very
And
nice.
that was a special night.
So, Randy ended up joining me on our race team, and we had a lot of success and won a lot of races, and he is just a wizard when it comes to building engines. So I knew when I started promoting East Moline back in the day that he would be the perfect tech guy because, if you want to learn, where that kind of gray area is at, talk to the guys that are running up front.
That's right.
And Randy did a wonderful job working for me, and he ended up going on to IMCA and working the National Series and the Deary Series and working the Super Nationals. And Veronica, you have worked up the IMCA Super Nationals. 800 cars there
That's
in a week,
unbelievable.
Pat. 800
Wow.
cars. It's just
Wow.
amazing.
As a matter of fact, I think the World of Outlaw late models have a big race up there at Boone.
They do.
Here, is it this weekend or is it
This
next
weekend,
weekend?
yeah.
The Hawkeye 100. They're starting 3 wide.
3 wide.
3 wide.
It's the way they do it at Boone.
Okay, and
Yeah,
I will
Super
admit,
Nationals, they do that.
every single time I've ever had a sprint car race booked at Boone, we've gotten rained out. So I've never set foot on the track. I've just seen it on video. But
Yeah.
from what I've seen, how on earth are they going to do that with late models, no less?
They do
The
it.
track's not that wide, is it?
They do it with the IMCA late models, and it is a wide track. And Quint,
This should
when
be
I
exciting.
took Quint up there the first time, I said, "You have to watch their track prep. When they run 10 heat races, they stop and they get out there, they rip the track up, they water it, they pack it, and we're going racing again. But every 10 races, Quint."
Yeah. You don't see any dust there.
That's impressive.
And the racing is unbelievable.
I've seen videos, and it really that's impressive.
Yeah,
it's impressive.
It's
Those guys
not
are,
to slight any other dirt track program in this country, but there can't be anything better than what they do at them Boone Nationals.
It's great.
It is amazing.
Now, Veronica, you've worked at the Super Nationals.
Yep, so
Now, how did the guys respond to that when they pull in tech? They got a giant tent set up, and you got Veronica down there teching your car.
So the first year I did it, I actually was going just to watch. I was just coming back from school in California. I was just going to watch with Dad. I wanted to all of high school, never got the chance. And Dave Bren, who's head of tech for everything in IMCA, he comes over and he goes, "We're gonna do this." And he's seen I was kind of timid. And he goes, "No, you gotta learn that you know the rules. You're gonna set the rules. And if guys try to be like, well, I don't want you to look at my car. Or, no, that's not right. Tell them, no, this is the rule. This is the call. This is what's happened." In the first season, or the first Super Nationals, I was actually out there. I was put in the infield and we were checking carburetors, and one guy's carburetor didn't pass, and I said, "It's not good." And he's like, "I want a second opinion." Dave comes over and goes, "So what'd she tell you?" He said, "Well, it didn't pass." And the guy that said, "You have 2 people in a car," so he assists me. He's like, "Yeah, no, it didn't pass." He's like, "Well, there's your call. You're disqualified."
Nice.
And I think that's something that really stands, that sometimes it's perceived okay and sometimes it's not. But for me, I also take into account where the racer's at.
Right.
When you're coming off a track and you just thought you made it into the show for the night and maybe to the big dance on Saturday, you didn't make it, well, I mean, you might question it as well, but
You know what's
definitely
amazing
cool.
to me is Quint and I have watched you grow up as a young lady. And you always struck me as somebody who was very intelligent. You always had intelligent questions. You were very well spoken, and that was always amazing to me. But Quint, you know, if you live long enough, you're going to see the Veronicas of the world. She grew up from a little kid, and he had a grasshopper, and now she's a full-grown lady out there, you know, putting the hammer down and beating around the racetrack. It's just
And
amazing.
She just got to be patient. And the wins will come. It took me forever to win.
Yeah.
And once I finally got one, then they started coming. But
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys realize it or not. I actually had a good friend of mine, female racer, that got into sprint car racing that wanted to move up the ladder. And Destiny and Jim Clark from the Chicagoland area actually housed the race car in my shop for a number of years. So I've been around it and seen it from her perspective of some of the things that she went through being a female sprint car driver and some of the acceptance or lack thereof that she got at the track. And hopefully you don't have to overcome those same hurdles, and hopefully you get a little bit more respect from the guys. But you definitely have the technical background and knowledge to be able to go toe-to-toe with just about anybody.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing is Dad, when I told him I wanted to race in high school, which thanks to Shane, you know, we got into racing because Dad was just doing drag cars. So, you know, it started there. But in high school, I told Dad all I want to do is race. And he said, you got to know something. And that's where the technical side came in. I went to school for it. I was like, you know, that's what I want to do and I want to race. I'm going to do that. And therefore, now being in a race car, the guys, it's a hit or miss. It's just like in my career field. It's a hit or miss. Not everyone's going to like me being there. And sometimes it's not always accepting. But I will put that 95% of the time, everyone is just, I'm just another guy out there.
Nice.
And, you know,
nice. That's great to hear.
And my
That's
friends,
great to hear.
they'll tell me, they're like, but the thing you got to remember is if you run me over, I'm running you right back over. If you put me in the wall, I'm putting you in the wall, you know. And it's the same little joke she'll play every week. But for the most part, it's
And you're so
positive.
right there, Veronica, because, you know, I remember when, you know, as I was coming up and looking for that respect as a driver, you know, you get the guys that rough you up a little bit to get by you, and I thought, you know what, that's not happening anymore. I'm going to do a little roughing here. You hit me, I hit you. And all of a sudden they started, you know, respecting you more. And, not, you know, you're not out there to dump somebody. But, you know, if they lay a door on you, you know, lay a door back, let them know, hey, you know, we can play this game. I don't want to play this game, but...
And it shouldn't be accepted any differently from you than it would be for me.
Yeah.
You know, and there are clean racers and dirty racers, and I'm right there with you, Shane. I'm huge on that. There are guys that and I won't necessarily talk about it on air, but there are guys in just about every form of racing that I'm fans of, or guys that I'm not fans of, because of that. Because they're not clean racers. They'll run you right over like you're not there. So.
And I think there's a big difference between having something just happen because it's racing and doing something just because.
Everybody
you felt
makes
like
mistakes,
it, you know?
right.
So,
Right.
Veronica, what do you have for goals this year?
This year I would really just like to progress, put it in some top fives at least, and, you know, ultimate goals, maybe a win.
Yeah.
I'm very ambitious in that, but right now it's just really get that car under control, drive it. I mean, yesterday I started second for the first time ever, and I drove it straight until I spun out twice and was told to get off the track. So
It looks different when you're starting up there and there's just nobody in front of you, doesn't it?
And I think that's also a lot different for me. Dad told me last year I was never allowed to start on pole. I was never allowed to start up front, so I started in the back. And this time he's like, no, go for it when I texted him. So for me, it was a lot of nerves, a lot of feelings, and everything that I knew that I'd practiced that we'd hit laps and laps and laps again, it just didn't go well. So this year, the real goal is just get the car under me, make some top fives, and hopefully win something out there.
Nice.
So.
Good.
Nice. Isn't that funny when all of a sudden you get told that you're on pole, and especially when you've never been to a track or with an organization before, and you're going, oh crap, what did they say about the starting procedure? Where do we go?
What are we doing?
Wait
We're
a minute,
up
what
here.
was that? Damn it, I should have paid attention in the driver's meeting.
But, Ronnie, you did have a good run in the heat race. You got a fourth place in the heat.
Oh, yeah, I definitely think the heat had a lot more progress in it, and even half the first part of the feature I ran was definitely solid. I think it just comes down to time in the seat and keeping it all under wraps. And the end of my heat race, I definitely felt like I was getting it in there and just trying to work the bottom after I'd been running the top side for the first half of the heat. And then if you're going to pass somebody, you can't just stay behind them. So
That's right. That's the secret to
Gotta
sprint car
get it
racing right
up
there.
And, Veronica, your dad said you've got a brand new chassis that's getting powder coated. And so is the plan to have that ready at the end of the season, or run it next year, or what are your thoughts on that?
So, yep, we have a Dominator chassis that we're getting ready to put out there, and it was kind of the goal to get ready for this year, but things happen. Dad gets a little busy with being IMCA director, full-time job, family. So the true goal is to have it ready for maybe end of this season, but most definitely beginning of next season at the latest.
Good news.
Outstanding. A shout out to Tim Gould, who's watching and says hey from South Carolina.
Hey, Tim.
Hey.
Yeah. And Don Vanderhayden. Hey, Don, you got it modified again. Good luck this season. Glad to see you're out there watching. And then, Tim Gould. You know, Pat and I in the winter months, we race slot cars, Pat.
That's right.
Closest
As if
to
we
real
don't
racing
get
we
enough
get.
racing through the summer. Right. So what do you guys do in the wintertime? We race cars. Shocking.
Yeah. How do you like that?
That's
Tim
right.
says, Pat,
That's right.
I'm sorry I ran you over on the slot car track.
I tell you what, it hurts a lot less there than it does in the real thing. So
Yeah, that's right. Jessica Waterman, tell my dad I said hi.
Hi.
So she's out there listening. So, Quint, as the season moves on, we had a great opening weekend at both Davenport and East Moline. What do we got coming down the road? Prayers for Randy. Hope he gets back.
Yeah, I prayed for him today.
All right.
Because until we found out it was pneumonia, I was thinking the COVID, but he was in my prayers today. So.
He's going to be okay.
Yep.
yeah, it's great to hear.
You know, again, you talk about that COVID word, the Rona. Last season we opened up, we didn't have anybody up in the stands, and I looked up there last week and Friday night and seen all those people up there, and I thought, man, thank God we got people up in the stands again.
Amen.
So
Amen.
it was just another step back toward, getting closer to normalcy.
Yep.
And maybe it's just me, but being in a car, racing with an empty stand versus a filled stand is definitely different. The little kids you'll see up there, like, to me, I'm still pretty young, but I remember when I was little, like, that's what grew into how I got in a car. And if you don't have that step, you don't get the next one. And seeing that empty, like, that should kind of scare all of us that could happen if we don't keep trying to drive the sport and put it in a positive direction.
And that's definitely true. And Veronica, you'll have a contact with an awful lot of fans that other people won't. And we look forward to watching your progress as you grow up through the sport and hopefully advance your career. So I think you got great things ahead of you.
Thank you, and I appreciate that.
So, Quint, we're about ready to wrap this thing up. You got any closing words of wisdom?
No, just
Fix your stuff.
fix your stuff.
Make
our job easier.
Is there anybody you want to point out in specific?
Yeah, there we go. They're waiting outside for you, Quint.
Hey, there's two modified guys. I think they're having a competition to see who could get the most rake in their roof. Because I didn't know if my tape measure is going to be long enough to check two of them, but they know who they are.
See, we're running up at Marshalltown, Iowa. We're running an IMCA National, and I remember we went out, we won the King of the Hill, won the heat, and won the feature. And unfortunately, we're running gremlin bodies. And, the head of tech, the late, great Ron Afkamp, come up and he goes, Shane, that roof is too big. And I said, Ron, that is the same size as a stock gremlin roof. Well, what's running in the four-cylinder class that night? A gremlin. So he went over and measured that roof, and he come back with duct tape and taped the roof where he wanted it trimmed up at. And he said, I'm going to let you go tonight, but you got to have it fixed for next week. But they don't play.
And I remember when they did that, because you had Jim's Knoxville tap on the cell panel, and by the time you were done, it became Jim's Knox. But, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
See, now I got the dirt.
Yeah.
See, now the story that I got before was it was 100%
Totally different.
legal.
Totally different. Ronnie, what do you got to say? What words of closing? Dad, get better. Thanks to John.
Any sponsors you want to point out?
Yeah, so I have, so Jeff Peterson is who's the car is from, so he definitely has helped out a lot. My Leishan, Kaylee, she owns a realty company and she sponsors the car majority. And my dad, John, and my sisters and family for really supporting me, and even my friends. I think one big thing, if I could say anything, was that the racers that are out there and the guys that try to help me to just continue doing that and being accepting of, even if I spin out or if I throw it in the wall one day, just tell me, get back on it. And I've had friends in the past couple of days really do that. So just thank you to everyone that helps me, makes this happen. I mean, it wouldn't work on my own, and not having Dad there, it sucked, but I know the people that were there were supporting me, and that's what I can't thank everyone enough to keep doing.
All right.
So.
And Pat, we're back here every Monday night doing this thing.
Looking forward to it.
7 o'clock at night. We have a good time. We're going to give you the results from all the local tracks. We'll give you the results on the national scene. We're going to try to get better every week.
Working on it. That's why this week we decided to throw the video up there a little bit to give us some visuals as well as watching us chatter away on the microphones here. So yeah, we're always looking for ways to improve the show and expand it, improve our viewership. And for everybody out there, we're trying to grow local racing and really trying to help get more people involved in racing on not just online, but also get people to come out to the races. So I encourage everybody that's watching us on TV or listening to us to share the podcast to try to get more people out to the races, because it just continues to help grow the sports that we love.
We're live on Done Right TV over there at Davenport Speedway, and it's real simple. I've had people ask me, how do I watch that, Shane? Well, just if you got a smart TV, go to YouTube, type in Done Right TV in YouTube. It'll bring up the Done Right page, and then you'll see the shows that you can choose from right there, which you want to choose. The live show, it's very low cost. You can get one night of racing for $20. You can get the whole month, I believe, is $40. And that gives you every track we're at and every race that, is on the historic side. It's a race that happened in the past, but you can still watch that race. So, and we would prefer to have you out there live, and here's why. There's nothing like being at a racetrack, and we talked about hearing the roar of the engines, hearing the smell of the race and fuel, watching door banging late models out there.
That's right.
I mean, there's just nothing like it, Pat. And you on the sprint car side, all those years you raced, there's nothing like going to a sprint car race.
Without a doubt. And the upside to touch on both of those, the upside to the online streaming is that we get to watch so much more, and we have that access. So we have people that may be passive fans that may not be interested enough to actually come out to a race, but they would sit and watch it on TV. And so feel free to share that information or
Sure.
those links and hopefully get those people involved. But yes, you're absolutely right. Actually getting out there and seeing it firsthand. That's why my son Griff and I and CJ Cross is watching too. And yes, Griff is in the house tonight.
Hello, CJ.
Actually getting out to get to talk to the guys for the first time in over a year and watch races live it's phenomenal. There's nothing else like it. And also a shout out to all of the racers. And I didn't, when we walked through the pit area, I didn't tell anybody who I was. We were just watching cars and looking at them and trying to learn as much as I can about the different classes of stock cars as I possibly can. And I tell you what, I couldn't believe how outgoing and friendly all of the racers were.
Yeah.
They would come up and say, hey, how are you doing? You guys having a great night? What are you interested? You want to come? Actually, Griff got to sit in one of the cars. The guys were super friendly and outgoing, and that's great to see. That is absolutely great to see.
In Davenport Speedway, one of the things about the Great Mississippi Valley Fairground, and Sean Loader, the manager there, over the years, they put new concrete in front of the grandstands. They spent, I'm going to guess, $50,000 on renovating the bathrooms. It's like going into a 5-star restaurant bathroom.
Right.
Great concession stand.
First class lighting,
new scoreboard, first-class sound system. The grounds are well manicured when you pull in there. And if you drive by now on Locust Street, you'll know that'd be the east end of the property. They're building a new entryway, which is where the old drive-in movie theater entryway was at.
Nice.
So you're going to have concrete. You're going to have these huge arches that the racers will drive through, and the pit area will move more toward the east. And, I think there's going to be some more work done over on the west side, and that's the whole idea of giving it separate entrance so we can still have, a nice flow of traffic and a nice place for the guys to park. But it really is first-class operation.
You're absolutely right. I know there for a while, a few years ago, or quite a few years ago now, it got run down a little bit, but that's important to sponsors. If you bring somebody out to the races that's a potential sponsor, man, it's and we are so blessed and so lucky to have such great facilities around us here that you're proud of, because that's something that we don't necessarily have any control over as racers, is bringing a potential sponsor out here and being proud of the facilities that we get to race at.
One of the things they did at Davenport Speedway too a couple of years ago is they built that bar underneath the main grandstands. I mean, it is literally, I'm not a bar guy, I don't drink, but it's a place for people to go after the races.
That's right.
You can meet your favorite driver. I know when Ken Schrader was in town, he was down there shaking hands and talking to fans. And so it's kind of the complete package there. It was a Speedway. Great track, great racing, and, a great place to go after the races. And,
It's a place to socialize, too.
It really is.
And Jeff Morris drags me around there, makes me do card tricks for all his racing.
Nice.
Quint is a magician on the side.
Do you
so
notice
that's
how we
always
brought
a lot of
that up
fun.
at the end of the show?
Right.
What's
We gotta
going
talk to
on
him
there?
about that.
That's right.
All right.
That's right. That was not in the notes.
All right,
coming in.
fans. Well, it looks like we're ready to wrap things up. Pat, that's it. You got nothing else?
That's all I got for today.
All right. Well, hey, we'll see you back next Monday night, 7 o'clock. Make sure and get on that Done Right TV Facebook.
Yep. Facebook.
Get on the
and website.
YouTube. Check us out. It's free of charge. You're going to hear all the latest, greatest. And thanks for tuning in. We love you all. We love the fans, love the drivers. And in closing, I'll just say we'll be seeing you guys around the track.
Yeah.